The little girl had been hungry on the street for 2.5 days when she saw a man lying in an alley covered in blood. Seeing that his life was in danger and that she also needed money, the girl began to check his pockets. However, the man opened his eyes and grabbed the girl's wrist. The girl noticed the man's red eyes and his greenish-blue hair. The girl's heart skipped a beat. In her ears echoed the man's cold voice. "Kill him!" The man in front of her? Was he perhaps the Duke of Theater, who would kill her in the future? Wasn't he? Just recently, a girl accidentally discovers a book that says that when the world is about to be destroyed, the saint, beloved by the gods, will save everyone's life. But the girl, who should be loved by everyone, disappeared at the age of 2.5. However, on a day several years later, 2 identical figures appeared. Apart from one having yellow irises and the other blue, everything else is exactly the same, including the names. And as an orphan, Cotilia was treated as a substitute for a maiden. They threw them into the fire, although the maiden was optimistic, while grabbing her hand. Fortunately, someone will come to save them. But they can only watch as the maiden is taken away. Then he realizes that all this seems like a joke. It's not to save them, but to save him. When he escapes death among the flames, but he is captured as bait. It's fair. One of the 4 great families, the house of the Duke of Valencia. He plans to reach the peak of power by kidnapping Saint Cotilla, but at that moment he realizes he has kidnapped the wrong man. Wrong. With just a slight phrase, "kill him." This girl, who has always been considered the replacement for a spinster, leaves with resentment and regret, thus ending her life. When the girl who was a beggar learned of this ending, she immediately felt as if lightning had struck her on a sunny day. That's why she put on a coat she had picked up from a garbage dump to cover what she was wearing underneath. She wanted to escape the plot of the book. Before the spinster came out, she wanted to run away from here. But at that moment, a fat woman entered furiously. "You're a lazy pig. I know you're acting now." But the girl is clearly not easy to deal with. She managed to escape the orphanage a year ago. So this time, she will surely be able to escape from here. "I'm right in front of you. Surely your fat is blocking your view. That's why you can't see it." The woman was immediately speechless. She angrily took out a basket of flowers. She said that if she didn't sell them today, she wouldn't give her food. Her mouth was full of sweet and flowery words. Hearing this, the girl could no longer restrain herself. She kicked the woman in the backside, not giving her time to react. She ran towards the door. Before leaving, she made a face and reached the silent street. Looking at the flower in her hand, one that can be picked in the park. How could anyone buy this? It's just an excuse to annoy him. But that no longer matters, because he had no intention of returning. He didn't want to be thrown back into the fire, to be insulted as something despised. To survive, he must escape as soon as possible. But at that moment, he smelled blood. Looking towards where it came from, he saw the initial scene. The man was unaware of the girl's fear of the ground. It could be from blood loss. He was even a little disoriented. "I must hug the girl." "Rosa, why? Didn't you choose me? Make me kneel if you want. Let me bark like a dog if you want. I will do whatever you say. So don't love that guy. Come and love me." And the man's voice grew lower and lower. Then there was silence. The girl pushed the man with effort, took out her money bag. At that moment, he was very happy. Finally, he didn't have to worry about going hungry, humming a song. She prepared to leave, but looking at the man. The girl, who had no conscience, developed compassion. If I help him a little, will he want to reward me? He hasn't thought much about it. He only cares about surviving. Although the Duke of Valencia is not a good person, he should have some humanity. Thinking about this, the girl made a huge effort and dragged him to an abandoned place. Looking at the man who was dragged all the way and still hasn't woken up. Although he has been pricked with a needle and beaten until he is full of bruises, when he was hungry, he wished he could bite his own flesh to survive, but he didn't know how to deal with this situation. He suddenly thought of the coat he found in the garbage, gathered around the man's wound. Looking at his own work, the girl prays in her heart he must reward himself a little, hoping that in the distant future he will show her compassion, that he will spare her life. Rubbing the money bag in her hands, this can be saved right now. But just this, what's on the man's neck, caught her attention. Looking at the necklace that shone, this can also be exchanged for money, right? But when she opened it, she saw a lock of red hair. The girl feared it was something real of the man, so she put it back. It wasn't long before she felt drowsy. Perhaps her fever hadn't healed yet. When she opened her eyes again, it was already dusk. He was half stunned and preparing to get up. But behind him, a man's voice sounded, "Who are you?" The girl was startled immediately and stammered, saying that she had saved him, but the man asks if she is Rosalind's daughter. The girl seems a little confused. "Are you Cordelia?" Hearing that familiar name, the girl denies it with a blushing face. She says she has never heard that name. Looking at the girl in front of him, the man gently lifts her chin. "Your pupils are very similar to Rosa's." The girl at that moment understood who he was referring to. He is the one of the saint. His mother was also the first love of the Duke of Valencia. So the book says, the decadent noble Rosalind at an older age obtained sacred power. Then she married the second son of the Elisa family. But when the saint was 2.5 years old, Rosalind sadly passed away. Since then, her children have been missing, and the Duke of Valencia was the one. Suffered an attack while searching for that child and fainted. Then, the saint casually discovered him and used her sacred power to heal him. And Valencia, seeing the saint, recognized that she was Rosalind's daughter, but the girl was not the saint. He had hated those who mentioned that name. She pulled the man's hand away forcefully and, excited, expressed that she was not the person he thought. Looking at the girl's excited expression, the man immediately knew that perhaps there was something. Just when the girl was about to retort, a noise was heard outside the door. It was only an instant. The girl grabbed the man's hand and ran quickly behind the box, covering the man's mouth, not letting him make a sound. He realized it was the large hand hired by the fat woman, the child who fell into their hands. There has never been a person who could survive. The more she thought, the more terrifying it felt. The more she thought, the more afraid she was. The small hand covering the man's mouth tightened more, until the man was about to suffocate. He finally released her hand. The man also saw the bruises on the girl's arm, and it was full of needle holes. His face changed, but the girl didn't notice the man's expression. She hugged herself nervously, just because the bullies had found her bag left outside. He doesn't want the bag to be given to him. He wants to be caught and taken back. Like other children, beaten to death, his body trembles nonstop. Just at that moment, a hand rested gently on her head, pressing down firmly. "Close your eyes, cover your ears, stay here well." To the man's gentle words, the girl obeys and closes her eyes while covering her ears tightly. Facing the man who suddenly appeared, the bullies are very surprised. But seeing the man covered in blood, they think he is about to die. The girl covering her ears hears the noise outside. The smell of blood becomes more and more intense, until the sound subsides. A tall shadow covers her body and gently strokes her head. The girl then opens her eyes and looks at the Duke. When the man sits down, he formulates the question he has had in mind for a long time. "Why are you leaving the orphanage? Did you escape from the orphanage?" But that brought back bad memories for the girl. Since she can remember, the orphanage has always been sucking her blood. Only one day, when they moved in a hurry, was he able to escape that hell. But thinking about the truth, she will definitely be considered a spinster. While the man keeps saying she is Rosalind's daughter, she is destined to become a spinster. The girl is very angry about this. She assures him that she has no mother, but when the man asks the girl's age, the girl, excited, lets slip a detail. "I'm already 8 years old," what they said at the orphanage. The girl quickly covered her mouth. She felt that she was really very foolish. But at that moment, the man spoke. "Come with me. I will adopt you as my daughter." The Duke, single for 2.5 years. That day, surprisingly, brought a girl home. The butler was only surprised and pointed at her. The man shouted, warning him to be careful with his head. Then he entrusted the girl to the maid Emma and prepared to leave. But the girl grabbed his clothes tightly. Now she is a little scared. "I must go complete the adoption procedures so she can be my daughter. So stay here tonight. Don't think about escaping." The girl fell silent upon hearing this. She knew very well that she was not the person the man was looking for. How long could she stay here? Would the man really fulfill the previous agreement? She had no way of knowing. Just recently, the man says he wants to adopt the girl, but the girl feels that he is deceiving her. If a spinster really appears, he will surely abandon her. It would be better if you were honest and said that you need a girl who can pass as a spinster, which she didn't expect, is that the man admitted it with complete sincerity and asked if she was willing to do that. Although the girl is very bothered by the bruises on her arms, she also hates being beaten and often going hungry. But what she hates most is being the substitute for others. The girl, unable to control her emotions, began to cry. But at that moment, the man handed her his doll. Although it was only a piece of rag picked up from the garbage, it's the only thing she has lived with since she was little. If you come with me, I will give you more beautiful dolls and clean clothes. I will also give you the biggest room. Hearing this, the girl was moved, although she knew that the man was only mistaking her for a spinster. But there shouldn't be a problem in bothering him for a few days, right? What if I'm not Rosalind's daughter, and I'm not a spinster either? What would you do with me then? Would you kill me? The man was silent, looking at the girl. Although her expression was firm, her body trembled with fear. He doesn't understand what kind of experiences the girl has had before, but he trusts his intuition. And even if they discover in the future that he has made a mistake, he will not abandon her. In the name of the Valencia family, I assure you that I will never kill you. The man's words are very sincere. He really needs a place where he can live. But just when he extended his small hand and said he had no name, he waited for her to think carefully before telling the man. Surprisingly, the man withdrew his hand. That complicated things a bit. To carry out the formal adoption process, it is necessary to have a name. The girl was frightened by this. So can't he be adopted now? He was informed again by a man that he only needed to say a name. But the girl hated Cotilia at that name. Then it won't be Cotilia. As he spoke, he covered the girl's eyes. Then he picked her up and, "You, Rosalia, what do you think?" The girl was very happy. She likes this name a lot. However, the next second, shiny coins fell from his body. The Duke, seeing this, was a little confused. The girl wondered if she should escape. The man, understanding, said nothing. He said softly that in any case, the people of the Valencia family would not bow easily. As a member of the Valencia family, you need to keep this in mind. That's how Rosalia was taken home by the man, on the way to wash up. Accompanied by the maid Emma, she learned that the girl's name was Rosalia, and she was only 8 years old. The butler immediately confirmed that she was the Duke's daughter with his first love. I think he has mental problems. He's surely crazy. After Rosalia washed and got ready, she put on a nightgown that didn't fit her well. She had a dessert in front of her. Emma was worried because the girl hadn't eaten in a week. She prepared easy-to-digest food for her, but Rosalia lowered her head and refused to eat. After all, the owner once said that children like him must look a little miserable in order to earn money. Get some food that others have left. But if he eats people's delicious food, he won't be able to gain the sympathy of others. Without sympathy, they will have nothing to eat. Emma was surprised. I can't believe these words are spoken by a child. Kneeling down, the little one comforts the Miss Rosa, from now on, every day I will prepare delicious food for you. You are a person, and you must eat what people eat. As an adult, children cannot be allowed to bear the burden of supporting the home. So you won't have to worry about earning money anymore. You just need to eat well and sleep peacefully. You just need to grow up without worries. This is Rosa. It's the first time someone has said that to her. It feels strange inside. When she finished eating, she dragged her 2.5-meter-long nightgown. Emma is in a difficult situation. If she had known, she should have kept the clothes Miss Ingrid wore as a child. That way, young Julian would also have something to remember his mother by. This makes Rosa wonder. He knows Ingrid is the Duke's sister, but he doesn't know who Julian is. He is Miss Ingrid's son, who is recovering in our castle. If you meet him, it's best not to be frightened, because young Julian has been the victim of a terrible curse. Rosa remembered the book she had read before. The Emperor, before marrying Ingrid, already has the woman he loves, and with her he has had a son. So after Ingrid's death, the Emperor immediately made her Empress. Unlike the Great Prince, who is interested in the saint, Julian, the second prince, is very indifferent towards her, even after he broke the curse on her. Rosa thought she wouldn't meet him again, so she stopped thinking about those things. Arriving at the luxurious room, Rosa's jaw dropped. She had never imagined that the Duke's bedroom was so big. When she lay down on the bed, Emma gave the girl a soft kiss on the forehead. But Rosa didn't understand its meaning. Upon learning that this is a spell that can make people have good dreams, she immediately hugged Emma. I also want Emma to have a good dream. In the stillness of the night, lying on the warm big bed, Rosa couldn't fall asleep. Does it really not matter that I stay here? At the same time, in the previous alley, passers-by inside discovered multiple disfigured bodies. It was the owner who earned money with the orphans, but the curious thing is that the bodies were of adults. While the children had disappeared, this Rosa couldn't know when the morning sunlight filled the earth. An excited girl is rolling in bed. Just when he thought it was very comfortable, he was suddenly startled. A head was hanging right in front of him. Immediately, a heart-rending scream echoed in the duchy. When the man looked back, he realized that Rosa was running towards him and grabbed his leg. In the girl's terrified words, the man also discovered the reason. That's the pier. It's a specimen made from dead animals. This is to remind us that we must stay on mission. Eliminate that family that symbolizes the white horse as soon as possible, cut off their heads, and the family that symbolizes the white horse in the man's mouth was the Elisa family. At that moment, Rosa understood what the man felt for his first love. How much hatred there was for marrying the Elisa family. But that couldn't stop Rosa's heart. Sitting in the man's arms, the feeling of happiness made her feel as if she were flying in the sky. This is real bread. What I ate before was nothing but dough. It's really delicious. The man only feels overwhelmed. It's time to find a teacher to teach Rosa about the unforeseen. But Rosa is very worried that he doesn't earn much money. Does it really not matter? The man only took a fork that was next to him. He passed it to Rosa. Earning money is not something you should think about now. You should take the knife and fork and enjoy the meat. Seeing Rosa's doubtful expression, remembering what Emma had told her, a surge of anger flooded the heart of the man. Simon, convey to Yaxie to get rid of those bugs they caught yesterday. All the bodies will be torn to shreds. Rosa didn't know what the insect was, something the man was talking about. After the meal, Emma asked the girl what style of room she wanted. Rosa didn't hesitate at all and said she liked gold, since that way she could steal it and sell it. When the night is silent, Rosa, who should be sleeping, instead is thinking that he is very lucky not to have found Saint Cotilia until now, but in the end it was only a matter of time, since he doesn't know when the saint will appear. He must gather some things before that happens. Can she remember what the man told her that day? Rosa hesitated, but to survive, she could only do that. She put the valuable things back under the bed. Rosa prepared to go out and explore. The dark night, the girl walked alone through the silent garden. Just when they were afraid to return, a strong smell of blood became noticeably pungent. Then footsteps were heard behind. When he turned around, he saw a young blonde man with red eyes, holding a sword, from which blood was still dripping. The girl immediately realized the situation. Who is he? I need to escape. Unfortunately, her mind had gone blank. The body was still in place. The young man's hand also slowly extended towards Rosa. He grabbed her wrist tightly and put the sword to her neck. The young man's smile contrasted with Rosa, who was crying her eyes out, forming a stark contrast. His appearance, evidently adorable, made one want to hug him. But at night he will turn into a bloodthirsty demon. He will even not forgive his sweet and tender sister. I want to hear what sound the girl's head makes when it is hit. Looking at the snake tattoo on the boy, it moved a little. Rosa immediately stopped being afraid. She understood that the boy in front of her was Ingrid's son, Urian, was interrupted by a bubbling noise, a crucial moment for life or death. Rosa, surprisingly, was hungry. The feeling of shame allowed her to deduce 3 rooms and a living room. She didn't want the boy's hand holding the sword to also loosen in the next second. Falling to the ground, he painfully pulled at his clothes. He fell backward before the gaze. Surprised of Rosa, the girl who witnessed this scene was stunned. What should we do now? I should call Emma. At that moment, a voice calling him was heard from afar. The person who came was the Duke. Just a moment ago, the man had gone to the girl's room to look for the girl, but he discovered that he had disappeared. He asked Rosa, why did she go out at this time of night? If she was injured. Rosa, hearing this, didn't know how to answer. She could only say that she wanted to go out and play in the mud. From now on, you can't suddenly disappear without saying anything. Looking at the man's worried expression, Rosa is both happy and disappointed. Uncle is worried because he considers me a spinster. That's why he's worried that I'll suddenly disappear, right? Afterwards, Rosa was about to ask what to do with that boy, when the rabbit made another untimely noise and scratched his toes in embarrassment. Then the man took Rosa to eat. The girl eats the bread in her hand with relish. Apparently, she is eating clouds with satisfaction. This left the man with wide eyes, because Rosalind had also said something like that. Indeed, like mother, like daughter. Rosalind, on the other hand, was surprised. That person clearly wasn't her mother. Then, from the Duke's mouth, he also confirmed that the boy was Urian. After all, the snake tattoo on his body is the proof, and the shoes he just splashed are just chickens from the henhouse. To change the subject, the girl asked the Duke if he had found a teacher for her. But she was told that the teacher he had to find for her had to be a graduate of the academy, second in qualifications, and know how to play more than 3 instruments. They must also have skills in plastic arts and master more than 2 foreign languages. Rosa was stunned to hear this, her mouth hanging open. She could fit an insect egg in it. Does such a person really exist in the world? And why should that person teach her? Doing other work would be more valuable. Although the Duke father is very important, she can only interact with the Duke, Emma, and Simon. Rosa looks forward to seeing a new face. Being hugged by a man, but Rosa wonders if it's okay. Dreaming about it, it's a good dream. It put the Duke on alert. He was only relieved upon hearing from Emma. He gave the girl a soft kiss on the forehead and wished her sweet dreams. The next morning, Rosa was informed that Julian wanted to apologize to him. He especially invited him to the villa by the southern sea, but the air was filled with the smell of blood. When the maid opens the door, Rosa hides behind Emma and doesn't want to go out, looking at Kaslin with big eyes, observing Urian, who originally wouldn't have any connection with her. She doesn't dare to imagine that the boy in front of her is the one who wanted to hurt her last night. He looks like an angel. The spontaneous words made Rosa very uncomfortable. She got scared and hid behind Emma again. However, is he really the madman from last night? Hearing the girl's compliment, Julian first blushed. Then he thanked the young girl. It was the first time he had heard such praise. Then he sat on the bed and, faced with Emma's worried expression, said he could do it. "Are you Rosalia?" Rosalia was no longer hiding behind Emma. She patted her chest and said in a childish voice that she was. "I'm very happy to meet you. I am Julian von Ort. You can call me Julian." The boy spoke while gently holding the girl's hand and kissing it. Rosa's cheeks flushed instantly. She didn't understand what the boy was doing. After all, she hadn't received any education among nobles. Emma, by her side, smiled and prepared to leave. This surprised Rosa. She didn't understand why she wanted to leave. She didn't give him time to stop her. The door was closed by Emma. Only the teenagers remained inside the room. "I'm sorry, Emma is always very worried about me. Although it doesn't bother me. But after what happened last night, you surely don't want to be alone with me. Besides, there are rumors. Being with me will bring you a curse." He said that and left, preparing to call Emma. Rosa stopped him. She grabbed the boy's arm, but she squeezed too hard. Julian staggered, and Rosa also slipped. She is about to fall. Luckily, the boy reacted. When the nervous Rosa opened her eyes again, she wondered why she hadn't fallen, but she realized she was in the boy's arms. "Are you okay?" But the next second, Rosa shouted, "Who said the curse isn't contagious? How can it be contagious? Who was the one who said those words that seem common but meaningless?" However, it touched the boy's heart. He extended his hand to help Rosa. "Although you haven't been officially adopted yet, we will soon be cousins. I promise I will be careful. I won't hurt you again, so I hope you can understand that I have no bad intentions towards you. I just want to get along with you." Rosa refused to let him lift her. She had the boy let go of her hand halfway through walking. However, he had already realized that he had not yet been officially adopted by the Duke. He thought he had already completed the adoption procedures. Emotions can't help but be a little low. But hearing the boy's cough, Rosa immediately rolled up her sleeves. "Now I also have a snake tattoo, don't you see? If anyone says your curse will infect you, just throw mud in their face," comforting Julian. He was also preparing to leave. And just before leaving, he thought of something. He stood on tiptoe and kissed the boy on the head. "I cast a good dream spell on you. Although surely you have already received many before, but I also want to bless you. I hope you recover soon." With that said, she left. She left Julian staring fixedly at the girl's back. He had heard a long time ago that in the Duke's palace there was a dirty orphan, and that he was the son of the executioner whom the Duke hated, apart from certain people. The Duke ordered that no one could approach him. The maids said that he would use evil magic. Is it really the magic of dreams? A type of sorcery? Then let's observe him a little more. Let's see if he is really based on the Duke of Valencia. Is he a family scammer? He is an innocent child. The arrival of disaster is always silent, and Rosa's disaster has already arrived. She's the daughter of a first love and another man, but the man has taken her as his adopted daughter. However, the girl's mother possesses a sacred power, so the sect considers her a saint. If the girl also has her mother's power, the sect would definitely take her to benefit the people. If she is not a saint, then the Elisa family will not let her go. Indeed, it was that day when the priests of the sect arrived at the Duke's house. Seeing the girl with shaved head. They laughed out loud. "Miss Cordelia, we are the priests of the sect at home. We have come to take you back." Rosa immediately declared that she was not Cordelia, and that she wasn't going to go with him. But seeing the Duke silently to the side, it made the girl's heart stop for a moment. She immediately panicked. "Is the old man going to send me to the sect? But why? Is it because I'm not useful?" Rosa's heart hurts a lot. He doesn't understand. He once swore in the family name, "I will protect my man." Why are we aging? You didn't say it doesn't matter. Wash clothes and also clean. From now on, I won't be picky anymore. If you let me earn money, I will also be obedient. And Rosa's tears don't stop flowing. The book says that her misfortune is for hurting others with her bad words. The spinster also mentioned her problems. It made it so she would only speak when there were two people. But they are good friends. Is it because I have a nasty way of speaking? If so, I would remain silent like a mute. So don't abandon me. Sad tears run down Rosa's cheek. The man finally dared to speak. Haven't I already said it? Our Valencia family never gives up easily under any circumstances. Looking at the man holding her, Rosa is no longer crying. She doesn't understand why the man didn't pay attention to her before, but she still sobbed while correcting his words. "What you said wasn't to bow by lowering your head." Then the man hugged Rosa. He questioned the bald man if he had anything else to say. It turns out that shortly before, the bald man had found the Duke and said that he wanted to take Rosa away, and said it was the Emperor's wish. It is also a royal order, but the men don't listen at all. They say the girl is not Cordelia, she is Rosalia. Then the decree was issued. However, the man spoke in a gloomy tone. "Do you perhaps have child abuse behaviors? That is the concern of His Excellency the Emperor. After all, there are violent families who deprive children of their voice, like you. Although they know this is a challenge, the men have no other choice. They cannot bear that guilt." And the bald priest then makes the man, during their encounter, not say a word. Otherwise, the results obtained will not be recognized by the sect. Now the men finally don't have to endure it. He immediately ordered his subordinates to take him out to feed the chickens. The bald priest, seeing that he was about to lose his life, brought up the Pope and His Majesty the Emperor. And just at that moment, Urian, with green hair, entered the room. He heard that people from the sect had arrived and wanted to come and speak. Seeing that the visitor was the second prince, the bald priest seemed to see salvation. A majestic figure arrived before the child, trying to incite the child's emotions. They claimed that they were only following orders, and the Duke really wants to disobey the orders of the Pope and the Emperor. By doing this, he can not only save his life, but also harm the men's reputation. For him, the second prince is easy to deal with. And indeed, Julian is as he imagined him. The words of those two cannot be contradicted. Seeing that the plan is about to succeed, the bald priest showed a slight smile. Urian's expression was a bottleneck. He looked at Rosa, hugged by the Duke. The feeling of discouragement made the girl lower her head. Her small hands tangled in the ring. "That is my destiny. In the end, I will be taken to the sect to see the saint. And in the end, I will die for him." Thinking about this, Rosa hugged the man's neck tightly. He doesn't want to leave here. But Lord Shen Guan, you know? Even beasts take care of their families. But today we have only just met. And I already saw you make my sister cry. What do you think I should do as a brother? Her name is Rosalia. Please don't change her name lightly, otherwise I will be very angry. And he is the servant of the Valencia family. He is not someone you can bump into at will, just like that. Cold sweat slowly ran down the bald priest's cheek. Is he really the weak and stupid second prince they talk about? The bald man raised his head. Looking at the effect on Urian's face, he doesn't understand why such an adorable child like Ming Ming can have such deadly intent in his words. It seems the priests have finally accepted their punishment. By the way, Rosa, tell him something. Rosa now also has confidence. I shouted that I would definitely not go to call the band. Don't come to my house again. I gave a deep sniff, although she didn't know what kind of punishment those priests received from the night. Rosa's life soon returned to normal. Looking at the abundant dishes, Rosa had a worried expression. Here are sweet peppers. Who was it that said they wouldn't be picky again? Rosa reluctantly had to put the sweet peppers in her mouth. The Duke told her that he had already found the tutor he spoke of before. He is the one who knows how to play more than 3 instruments, and also has skills in visual arts, and is fluent in more than 2 languages. He must be an incredible and handsome teacher. But the next day, Rosa was a little confused, looking at Butler Simon in front of her. "Did you meet the requirements the Duke mentioned? Did you meet them all?" Faced with the girl's question, Simon proudly replied that yes, he met them all when Simon took the cane to teach them. She was just curious, because Julian was also here. "Of course, he came to listen to your class. I also have many shortcomings." Simon, although speechless, began to teach them. First, he spoke about the origin of the Valencia family, the 4 great families of the empire, known as the center of the country, and the Valencia family is one of them. At the time of the world's destruction, representing the apocalypse of dark forces, the 4 horsemen approached. So God sent the Holy Son and the Holy Daughter so that in the apocalypse they would save the world from the hands of the 4 horsemen. They found the first emperor. They gathered 4 heroes, the Holy Son and the Holy Daughter. Together, they fought bravely against the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and achieved final victory. But due to the devastation of the war, the country became a desolate place, and the emperor and the 4 heroes were also affected by an uneliminable poison. The Holy Son and the Holy Daughter could not eliminate it, they could only seal the curse within the heroes. When the first emperor founded the empire, he bestowed upon the heroes the title of dukes. The Orisa family is in the east, the Petros family is in the west, the Lampez family is in the south, the Valencia family is in the north. Although the first emperor who stopped the destruction of the world lived his life with the blessing of the Son and the Saint, and spent his days in peace. But his descendants are very different from the children of the heroes. They perpetuated their lineage by marrying common people. From time to time, cursed descendants are born. Young Julian suffers greatly from it. He was born under a curse. However, if the curse can be evolved with divine power, it can be dispelled. The condition is that Miss Rosalia is the spinster with the key. A small beggar who has been hungry for 2.5 days. A man took her home. To thank her for saving him, he decided to adopt her as his daughter. But loving her too much, he kept her prisoner. He only allowed specific people to contact her. The girl was very angry about this. She didn't understand why the man kept her away from others. "Squeeze your little hands. Get up and prepare to go back." "I don't want cookies," leaving the man completely confused. Just because in the afternoon, a young man came from Ang Lee's room. The young man with black hair and an intense gaze was the heir to the ducal family of the Lopez. Breaky. Although everyone says the second prince is a fool, a useless and clumsy prince, Breaky doesn't care about the opinions of others. The 2 are good friends. This time he came just to gossip. "I heard that recently the girl adopted by the Duke has been punished. She even wrote a letter to the Emperor, asking him to approve the Duke's adoption request. Is that girl a saint?" However, Urian surprised everyone by saying that she was family. And thinking of Rosa, a smile appeared on the boy's face. This made Brayek even more curious about the girl. He said goodbye to his friend and left yawning. And at that moment, the girl had just finished a day of studying. Rosa, who felt her butt had fallen asleep. She was preparing to go out to get some fresh air. Emma was very worried about this. After all, the Duke had warned her again and again that Rosa should not meet Breaky. But it shouldn't be okay if it's just for a moment. Thinking about this, Emma agreed. On the way, she prepared cookies for Rosa to give to Kun Kun. This made the girl very happy. In this world, I like Emma the most. They arrived at the large garden. Rosa was looking at the scenery around. Without realizing it, she bumped into a tree. The result was that a book fell directly on her head. This left Rosa very confused, when the trees also started to love learning. Then she picked up the book. The girl was still confused. Only a sigh was heard, and Breaky appeared, still holding his head. Then he discovered something incredible. It's Rosa, and he still has it pressed underneath. The girl complains that he hurry up and get off. He is almost suffocating, and instead of being crushed, seeing the cookies break everywhere. Rosa seems to have arrived in hell, and I haven't even eaten one. Breaky is confused. He doesn't understand why the girl is so sad, just for some cookies. As long as she doesn't cry, he can buy Rosa many cookies. She's not going to cry. "You are him, Julian's friend, who came today, right? But why are you here? Shouldn't you be in another house?" Realizing that the young man was looking at an in-depth investigation into the manufacture of spaceships, Rosa felt completely bored. This surprised Breaky. This is an ancient language. Why can the girl understand its meaning? Rosa is incredible, I haven't learned that. What is the ancient language? He can read it directly upon seeing the content. At that moment, Emma was heard calling for Rosa in the distance. Hearing this, the girl turned around to go back. Before leaving, she reminded Brakey, "Have fun playing with Julian. Don't argue. Are you Rosalia?" Upon receiving an affirmative answer, looking at the Rosalia in front of him, Brakey smiled slightly. He gently took the girl's hand and put it on his cheek. "You are very good, and I like you very much. I hate girls who are stupid and crybabies, but you are not stupid, and you don't cry." Faced with the boy's unexpected words, Rosa became even more confused. She pulled her inappropriate hand away and asked him not to say such strange things. "You hate me very much. If I hate you very much, there is no reason to hear Emma's voice again." Rosa hurried to leave. Before leaving, she asked what the boy's name was. "My name is Blake." Upon hearing that name, Rosa was immediately surprised. He thought about what had been said, that he and the saint had been thrown into the sea of fire. Among those who came to save the saint, he was there. About Rosa's strange reaction, Blake was very confused. He asked the girl if she knew him. Rosa quickly shook her head, said she had never heard that name. Just as Emma's voice grew closer, the girl was preparing to answer. A wicked hand decisively covered the girl's mouth and dragged her to a nearby bush, seeing that she was being harassed. Rosa, angry, was going to bite Brakey's finger. "Don't you like the cookies Kun made? I'll buy them for you. Didn't we agree on that a moment ago?" King, who could only express that he could ask for whatever he wanted, but on the condition that he didn't tell anyone they had seen each other. After 2.5 minutes of reflection, the corner of Rosa's mouth began to curve into a smile. Then the girl found Emma and explained that she was playing with mud in the garden. She didn't hear what she said. As for whether she met anyone else, no. I didn't see a single hair. What happened? This made Emma sigh. Then she took her back. Rosa, however, wondered why she was in such a hurry. Then she stopped thinking about it. She reached for the loot in her pocket. She didn't want something very valuable that would put her in debt to the boy, so she chose a more or less suitable piece of jewelry. And by Brakey's subtle expression, this thing could surely be exchanged for some gold coins. But just the next day, she was having dinner with the man. At that moment, Bray sent someone to bring her many cookies. The cookie man was still confused. Rosa, happy, let slip a comment. She asked the servant how many Brake had sent. After saying it, she regretted it. The man didn't need to guess. He knew the two of them had met. To change the subject, Rosa immediately invited the man to eat cookies and wanted to include Julian. But the man rejected her proposal. Rosa felt a little confused. Because he liked to be alone and also had a curse, it was better not to have contact with people. Hearing this, Rosa got angry. The curse of repulsion is not contagious. An expression of disappointment. "Uncle, how can you say something so hurtful? You are a family, you are a fool." The man, however, is unmoved. "I hope you try to keep your distance from him, because cursing him might make him lose his mind, wandering all over the place. His condition is very unstable. You were lucky that night not to get hurt. For me, the safety of you and Urian is very important." Rosa tightened her hand upon hearing that. Then she turned around and left. "I don't want to eat cookies," leaving the surprised men looking at the girl's figure. "Your Excellency the Duke, the only ones who can chat and distract the young lady are myself and young Urian. I think he should need more friends his age. You must know that you cannot hide the young lady forever. 8 years old is a good age. She should see, hear, and feel more. Meet people of all kinds. Strive to broaden your knowledge. Excessive protection is not good for her, just because he loves her too much." The man kept her prisoner. Fortunately, after listening to the maid's advice, the man finally agreed to let the girl go out. When she learned that she could go out to play, Rosa couldn't stop laughing. It was the first time she had gone out since arriving at the Duke's house, her face reflecting an expression of joy. After experiencing the magic of movement, she got out of the carriage and couldn't help but vomit. Without energy, she let the butler go in first, waiting for Hui to come and get her. After 2.5 hours of relief, Rosa, feeling better, arrived at the lobby. At that moment, Rosa's appearance caught the attention of a blonde girl. "Which family is this girl from? I haven't seen her before." Then, the blonde girl called Rosa, asking her where her parents were. Hearing Rosa say that she has no father or mother, the golden puppy was surprised, thinking disdainfully inside, so she's just a commoner. Rosa paid her no more attention. While passing through the art exhibition looking for the butler, just at that moment, a painting caught her attention. The messy lines struck her as impactful. What does this painting represent? I feel like I could make a painting like this too. Rosa didn't realize that her murmurs had been heard by the boy behind her. He called her out loudly, indicating that the flower on the wall was worth 250 gold coins, something that wasn't for a girl like her to paint. He proudly shows that this is the masterpiece of the author before dying of hunger. At this moment, he still hasn't stopped painting. Rosa doesn't understand. People are starving. What good is it that the painting has value? What good is it? Of course it's for our family to make money. After all, the author until the end was accepting the sponsorship we offered him. Or wouldn't he be famous as a painter? Surely in the afterlife he would also feel honored. Regarding the boy's capitalist face, Rosa was even more confused. This isn't a boy. Did his family let him starve to death? Just when the angry boy was about to insult Rosa, the little blonde appeared, whispering something in his ear. "How did you get in here?" As he spoke, he nudged Rosa. "You don't think that just because you wear nice clothes, you can enter high society, do you? Don't dream. You are a type of humble origin. That's noticeable, from a simple distance." At that moment, the boy still didn't know that a great disaster was approaching. He kept talking non-stop about the difference between them. Suddenly, boom, a painting hit him on the head. The attacker was Rosa. The air seemed to have frozen. The boy stared at the girl in astonishment. But Rosa was clearly unwilling. "Stop and put the easel back up." And then she heard a crash. The boy was frightened. "Do you know who I am? How dare you treat me like this?" "Rosa," with a calm expression. "Who are you? Am I your father? I don't even know who I am. How am I going to know who you are?" The boy was completely angry. He clenched his fists and threw them at Rosa. At that critical moment, a red-haired boy with a red cape appeared between the two. "Shut up already, otherwise you'll only make yourself more ridiculous. Look who's coming." The boy who was angry has become discouraged, thinking, how can that person be here? Does he know that little crazy girl? I didn't expect it. A ducal family that considers itself worthy of royalty. It has a relationship with such a commoner, and Rosa doesn't feel gratitude for his help. Who do you think you are to interfere in my affairs? Get out of here. But the light-haired boy didn't get angry. In fact, he found what the girl was saying very interesting. "Are you trying to make me laugh? Do you have a problem?" But the red-haired boy was very happy. "How fun. My hobby is marrying and appreciating works of art." "What are you barking? Don't bark here." Hong Mao laughs nonstop at this. "A moment ago you said that family let the painter die, right?" As he spoke, he had already taken the drawing board from Rosa. "You are not wrong. This is something that has been achieved at the cost of lives. It would be better to burn it all." And at that moment, the boy next to him tries to stop him, but it's already too late. Then he throws the burning board. The redhead approaches the demons. "You know, what do houses and enjoying art have in common? They all have a tragic beauty, even though the fire next to them is intense." Rosa doesn't blink once. She stares fixedly at the boy in front of her, with red hair and fire magic and green eyes. He is Edmund of the Red Knight family von Petros upon recognizing who he was. Rosa trembled as she hugged her arms, with a gloomy face, and Hong Mao also noticed that the girl's expression was not right. Calling Rosa repeatedly, the girl looked at the fire behind her. She thought of the books she had read before. Consciousness became blurred, and she fell into a coma, replaced by a false saint, a younger girl who had to beg on the streets to survive. And in a twist of fate, the girl changed her luck, and became the Duke's adopted daughter. The man was always firm. The girl believes she is the daughter of his first love. Just because they have the same eyes? Rosa, disdainfully, thought she could grow up healthy under the Duke's care. Until she met a red-haired boy. When he used fire magic, the girl fell into a coma. In the dream, Rosa feels the flames burning her. She has trouble breathing. "Don't worry, someone will come to save us." Suddenly, hearing those words, the girl opened her eyes. She looked in disbelief at the one speaking. That person had the same appearance as Rosa, except for the eyes. Rosa at that moment understood who the person in front of her was. He is the saint mentioned in the book. And now she is in a dream. But why does it hurt so much in the dream? She doesn't understand. At that moment, Breaky burst into the sea of fire. Rosa felt happy she thought he was coming to save her. But in the next second, Breaky passed right by her. Meanwhile, Edmund, who came running, also headed towards the saint. Rosa was very sad. She wanted them to take her with them, but no one paid attention to her. They left surrounding the saint. The feeling of pain made Rosa unable to get up. At that moment, she seemed so helpless. With the flames burning, the girl let out a heart-rending scream. The fire had already stolen her beauty. Ross understood that it was a dream. She wanted to wake up soon. All of this is what I read in that book. By the way, what is the name of the book? What kind of person was he? I had to read that book? The confusion had just arisen in Rosa. The feeling of pain disappeared. And at that moment she arrived at an unknown place. The sacred hall was empty. Only her. Rosa didn't understand where she had arrived. At that instant, a girl appeared not far from her. Seeing the girl's face, Rosa was surprised. The girl was actually herself. A strange scene appeared. The girl raised her head. Rosa's gaze began to waver. No one will come to save you. This made Rosa open her eyes wide. I can't believe what I just heard. At that moment, the man's worry brought him back to his senses. Uncle, you can't kill me. The man was stunned, remembering the scene of their first encounter. He had promised that he wouldn't kill him. At that moment, the man didn't know the girl. What kind of suffering has she faced? And Rosa's little hand approached the back of the man's hand. She didn't want her beloved uncle to let go of her hand. So she closed her eyes. The man got scared. He shouted for the doctor's help. Fortunately, after Emma's warning, the man gradually calmed down. See, she has only fallen asleep. Looking at the girl's calm and serene face, the man took her small hand and he gave her a soft kiss on the forehead. Have a good dream this time. I don't know how much time passed. Rosa woke up, blinking. She doesn't understand how she got home. She clearly remembers that she was looking at an art exhibition. Was it a dream? First, I had a fight with an older man. Then I saw a strange person at the exhibition. Afterwards, a crazy redhead started a fire. And it's also a strange dream. Rosa suddenly realized. She touched her face to see if it was disfigured. After confirming it, she breathed a sigh of relief. But looking at the empty room, had they left her alone here? Emma had mentioned this. He came over to ask Rosa, who was curled up in bed like an ostrich. Upon confirming that the girl had no problems, he explained that Simon had brought him back after fainting. Are you hungry? Do you want me to bring you some bread with cream? Duke, Your Excellency. Just in time for her to finish eating and leave. Rosa felt very scared. She feared that the Duke would scold him. After all, a commoner against a noble is definitely not something easy to overcome. This time, she might really be very angry, thinking about everything Rosa. She had already arrived in the Duke's room, and what she heard next stunned her. The reason you went through those things yesterday was due to my negligence. I am willing to accept any punishment, even if I am expelled from the city. It doesn't matter. Although he was surrounded by nobles upon entering the hall, he could have actually escaped. It's not that he couldn't wait for Rosa because of them, but Simon deep down didn't want to wait for him. Rosa didn't know what was happening at that moment. She simply thought that she couldn't completely blame him for yesterday. Although the first time she met Simon, because she thought Rosa was of the Olisa family bloodline, she didn't like the girl at all. You are my teacher. If you leave, who will teach me? Can't the punishment be avoided? The man rejected her proposal. Rosa was surprised. She didn't know how to punish others. After 2.5 minutes of reflection, the little girl pointed with her small hand. I already have an idea. I will punish you. During this month, you will only be able to eat sweet peppers. A commoner hitting a noble. The Duke praised the girl's bravery. As a reward, the man took Rosa to buy gifts. The girl eating cookies was very happy. After all, it was the first time she had gone out with the uncle from the palace. However, the Duke looked at Rosa in surprise, as if no matter how much he fed her. The girl, it seems, is thinner than children her age. And while chewing her food, Rosa, without realizing it, bumped into a man's body. The Duke quickly took her hand. My hands are full of dough. With crab and cream, they are dirty. The man, upon hearing this, didn't care. He took her hand and headed to the king's shop. At that moment, he looked at the owner of the doll shop and pushed a small beggar with flowery words. But upon seeing the Duke, his expression changed immediately. Then he saw Rosa by his side and kindly said words of praise to her. While the girl watched the figure of the little beggar walk away, I suddenly thought of my past self. When the Duke bought Rosa a beautiful doll and prepared to take her home. But at that moment, Rosa stopped, looking in the mirror at herself like a princess, just like the doll in her hands, thinking that when the real spinster appears, I already have to leave the old man. I will remain like this at that time he has no way of knowing. And at that moment, Rosa looked into the distance. Then she ran forward, surprising the Duke, and the little beggar who was there was curled up in the alley with a smile on her face, and the person at the alley entrance surprised him. It was exactly what Rosa wanted, right? But you have to give me your doll. It wasn't long before the man also arrived. He was about to teach her that running like that would make her get lost, but he saw the doll in Rosa's hands. I'm sorry, uncle. I took the doll you gave me without permission. I exchanged it for this doll." The man was silent for a moment. "As long as you are happy, it's fine." Although Rosa also didn't know why she had to exchange the doll with the girl. She just felt she had to do it. Upon returning home, looking at the bread on the table, the man feels very uncomfortable with Lurian. Rosa is confused and doesn't understand why they aren't eating. Lurian was about to say that the Duke doesn't like desserts. The man had already taken a piece and put it in his mouth. It seems his taste has changed quite a bit. Speaking of which, he received the letter His Majesty sent him about Rosa's adoption. "Yes, I received it. I didn't think he would oppose it so much before." This time, surprisingly, he agreed immediately. Urian was very happy to hear that. The man glanced sideways at his nephew. "How did you convince him?" After finishing his tea, Urian replied to his uncle, "I just changed my approach. I said I need to recover for a while longer, probably about 3 years. It seems I really am the Emperor's son. I said that was my last wish." He approved it immediately, even though Urian was smiling. The man knew he wasn't that calm. After all, in 3 years, Urian didn't die, as he said. The Emperor will surely kill him himself. Because only in this way can his beloved Grand Prince inherit the throne without problems. Actually, you don't have to intervene, and Rosa doesn't know the reason behind this. He doesn't want Lian to be sick. He was encouraging him to eat quickly. And now Rosa's registration has been resolved. The man is also ready to announce this news. He couldn't allow anyone else to mock Rosa for being an orphan. But upon asking Rosa her date of birth, Rosa didn't know. "What's that?" The man, resigned, could only say it was the day she was registered. The girl's birthday party was organized. A birthday party was held for him, and some guests were invited to attend. "So, Uncle, now you will be my dad." But those 2 words were already on the tip of her tongue. Rosa couldn't shout it out. She shook her head, indicating that the uncle is just an uncle. The Duke, again powerless, just wanted to let it be. Just at that moment, Rosa thought of the cookies that Lampetus had sent her last time. He hadn't eaten them yet. Urian smiled slightly. "If they are left for too long, they will go bad. I will make you something more delicious. Those cookies, simple. Just throw them away." Rosa was speechless upon hearing that. I thought the Julian from a moment ago seemed very serious, but he was clearly smiling. And in the following 2 weeks, Mick from the ducal city didn't stop preparing Rosalia's birthday party. Rosalia, bored, lay in bed. Thinking that Julian said no, he would attend her birthday party, she was a little sad. Although Lurian was also laughing at that moment, but he didn't seem happy at all. And just at that moment, a maid approached him, saying that recently he would replace the busy Emma in dressing Rosa. This left her very confused and then expressed that she wanted to play in the yard. Although the maid has a serene face, her body trembles incessantly. She doesn't know when the young lady will show her true colors, and she has this thought. Just because the Duke said, "I simply think she is very good, so I adopted her," and when he returned from shopping with the Duke holding a dirty doll he picked up from a garbage dump, the maids are sure it's a cursed doll. Although Mrs. Emma says that the Duke adopted him because he likes him, but that is very strange. I think the Duke must be under some spell. Be careful, beauty. We must survive. Received as an adopted daughter by the villainous Duke. The maids think the girl cast a terrible spell on a man. He must survive in her hands. But the condition is not to let your guard down. That's mine. Can you bring me a bag for cookies? Thank you, Mia. You are the best. Looking at the naive Rosa, Mia feels she is adorable as hell. Rosa gives a painting to another maid. The little one murmurs that that painting will be worth $1 billion in 10 years. At first, I wanted to keep it, but in the end, I decided to give you this one. Dorothea. Things changed. I don't know how to resist Rosamond. Without realizing it, 2.5 days passed, and in the blink of an eye, the day of the birthday party arrived. But due to the sect, the royalty did not attend, and the Valencia family also did not invite the 3 ducal houses it had. In the luxurious banquet hall, the Duke carries Rosa down the stairs, but he hears the murmurs of the people below. They murmur about why Rosa isn't with the Duke. Rosa is scared. Her whole body trembles, and she can't make a sound. Just at that moment, Rosa notices the raised arms below. It's Simon who reminds her to look at her hand. It turns out that Rosa knew she would get nervous and wrote what she had to say on the palm of her hand. But due to nerves, the sweat had already erased what she wrote. The girl suddenly swallowed. She began to say her opening speech with stutters. First, I thank everyone for your presence." Once Rosa finished speaking. Below, everything is silent. Simon's cold sweat drips slowly. This time, it's really over. Just at that moment, the Duke was the first to applaud, breaking the silence. After a brief hesitation, the guests also began to applaud. The man also led Rosa downstairs. "I have made a mistake." The girl seems very worried. The Duke says that today's party is in her honor. She can do whatever she wants. Hearing the uncle say it was for her, Rosa felt very happy. Sitting down, the bored girl walks around the party hall. Behind her, a voice was heard. "Lady of Valencia, my name is Sophia. Happy birthday. You are truly beautiful. You look like a noble by birth." "Yes, you too." Sophia didn't expect Rosa to say something like that. It was direct and forceful. But then she also mentioned her purpose. "Daniel, because you were agitated, hasn't been well since. It seems you are very happy." Rosa doesn't know who Daniel is, little Karami. "Daniel is my cousin. He is the young man from the sponsoring family of the art exhibition." She heard that it was the young noble she had hit before. Rosa looked at Caslin with wide eyes. She didn't understand why the girl was mentioning him. His family declared bankruptcy. "Clearly, you were the one who hit Daniel, but you didn't receive any punishment. Don't you think that's very unfair?" Faced with Sophia's doubt, Rosa didn't feel this was unfair. After all, Daniel had firmly stated at that time that they had killed, and furthermore, they had humiliated him. "You should understand, we are all nobles, and they are just commoners. We can give them a little food. It's already a great act of kindness. By the way, you were also a commoner before, weren't you? No wonder you get angry hearing us insult commoners. It turns out you weren't long ago from the same class." Just when Sophia was in conflict with Rosa, a wild boar fell behind him. A scream of terror then filled the entire banquet hall. "Today is your birthday. What are you doing here alone, seeing Edmund arrive?" Rosa feels confused. Edmund was supposed to be punished, and Edmund came this time to bring a birthday present to the girl, which is the boar beside him. This can't help but make one wonder about this person's logic. You look like a wild boar yourself. After all, only a boar would act so recklessly. And besides, I'm not alone. Just after he turned around, there was no trace of Sophia anymore. However, Rosa was very confused by Edmund's arrival. She didn't want to see this red-haired boy. Edmund asked the girl if she had a dance partner. He wants to invite Rosa to dance her first dance in life. The girl flatly rejected him. Then she turned around and stopped paying attention to him, seeing that Rosa wanted to leave. Edmund grabbed her wrist. "I have something to tell you." He hadn't finished speaking when a hand was already resting on his shoulder. The Duke Petros had been clearly warned to take good care of his son. "What are you doing to my daughter?" It comes from the Duke, formally. Edmund wanted to get rid of the man's arm, but there was no way. "Lock him in the dungeons. Not allowed before the party ends. Letter." This left Rosa speechless. At that moment, Simon found the man. There were some things he needed to attend to. The man, resigned, stroked Rosa's head and told her he would be back later. Then he left with Simon. How busy. At that moment, a young man arrived with a cat mask on his face. "It's Break." "Happy birthday, Rosa. Do you have my badge safely kept?" Upon learning that the girl hadn't thrown it away, Break finally felt relieved. It was something very important to him. Then, before Rosa's surprised gaze, he took her small hand, grabbed you and took you to his side. "Do you know how to dance? Will you accompany me for a dance?" Rosa didn't want to accept it all, but she was dragged by Break and started to dance. When the song ended, the knights waiting on the side immediately took Break away. Rosa was very bewildered by them. But what happened today is very new to him. It's the first time he's been the protagonist. It's also the first time he's received birthday wishes. Therefore, he feels surrounded by great happiness, and he thought that his life in the future could continue to be happy. But danger has already arrived. The little beggar celebrates his first birthday and receives 2 winged horses. Rosa is very surprised. The guests around also didn't expect the Duke to give such a valuable gift, amazed by the Duke's great wealth. And Rosa had already impatiently climbed onto the horse. But she was surprised to see a familiar figure, although she doubted if she had seen him before. But the winged horse had already spread its wings. It flew into the air. The winged horse is tied with a rope. It can't fly very high. At that moment, Rosa still didn't know that danger was approaching, excitedly looking at the scenery from above. She didn't realize that the horses below were already frightened. Then, one of the ropes broke, and it flew far away. The Duke is incredible. Although Simon had already warned him before that there were signs of an external invasion, he didn't expect it. This is where the problem arose. Just at that moment, Urien arrived riding the Pegasus. The Duke tried to stop him, but it was already too late. Urien was already chasing Rosa riding the Pegasus. At that moment, Rosa trembled. Her eyes were wide open, showing an expression of fear. Urien had also reached Rosa at that moment, shouting loudly so that she could take his hand. After a brief dip, Rosa, scared, still trusted Urien. She reached out to grab the young man, but just as Rosa grabbed Urien's wrist, the two Pegasi below them let out another neigh, and threw them directly downwards. Rosa, who was falling, was already completely disoriented. Fortunately, Urien hugged her tightly. Plummeting down, only a cry of despair was heard. Specks of blood stained the surroundings. Rosa hadn't lost consciousness yet, but the pain was so intense that she couldn't make any sound. Looking at the young man who was unconscious beside her, Rosa knew she couldn't faint now. She had to do something, no matter what. But she felt powerless. Before fainting, she could only pray to heaven, "Please save Julian." Meanwhile, a sacred glow appeared. When Rosa opened her eyes again, she realized she was in an unknown environment and discovered that she was surrounded by books, and her body also became light, without the pain from before. Is this the world after death? But why are there only words? In the next second, Rosa felt that the scene was strangely familiar. Just at that moment, suddenly, footsteps were heard behind. When Rosa turned around, nothing could be heard anymore, but footsteps could still be heard. She quickly went after them. Peeking out, she discovered 4 small ghosts. Upon the arrival of this unexpected guest, the ghosts were very surprised. They stammered about how she dared to return. But this is the first time Rosa has come here. Looking at the angry little ghost, speaking in an unknown language, Rosa surprisingly can understand what he says. You say a silver-haired human was here and destroyed the book? So you are repairing that book? And looking at the books at their feet, Rosa couldn't contain her curiosity and snatched it up. The ghost who was trying to stop Rosa couldn't touch the girl's arm. It was full of water stains. Many words were blurred. Cotidia thought, should I just kill Julian? Anyway, even the royalty is applauding for him. Seeing Julian's name appear inside, Rosa remembered the young man lying in a pool of blood. He doesn't understand why this book says Cordelia wants to kill Julian. Just at that moment, the little ghost said that this was their book. Before the surprise, Rosa could ask them the reason. She was pushed back by a strange force. At that moment, Rosa had no way to act. She could only watch as the little ghosts moved further and further away. And amidst the Duke's shouts, the girl opened her eyes. Rosa, you've finally woken up. Looking at the uncle who seemed very worried, Rosa wondered why she hadn't died. Don't say such bad things. You have been unconscious for 2.5 days. Do you know how much I have worried about you? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have given you something so dangerous. Listening to the man's self-critical words, Rosa could only comfort her uncle. I'm fine, and I also want to thank you. I had never received birthday wishes from anyone. If it weren't for you, I probably would never have had this experience. Nor would I have nice clothes to wear, nor delicious food to eat. And the best gift of my life. It's you, Juliana. And from the Duke's mouth, Rosa also learned about Urian's situation. Although a common person falling from a great height usually breaks their bones and ruptures their internal organs, dying instantly, Urien didn't die. He didn't even have signs of having been injured. Hearing this, Rosa showed an expression of relief. Then she became curious about the lack of injuries on Julian. After all, he had seen the young man covered in blood. This was really strange, that's why he was being examined, to see if the curse had worsened. After all, the royalty's curse is different. He absorbs the host's nutrients to cultivate himself. Since that day, Urien has had frequent episodes. From time to time, he feels a thirst for blood. In short, his curse seems to have become very serious. Rosa can't help but worry about Urien upon hearing this. Just at that moment, Rosa was recovering. Rosa noticed a small mechanical bird flew into her bedroom, carrying an ice blue rosa in its beak. The little beggar, who received a gift for the first time, almost lost his life. Fortunately, a young man rescued him, despite the danger. Although Julian didn't die, the curse within him intensified, turning him into a sanity-starved demon. Rosa couldn't help but worry about him, but now her body barely moved, and it hurt intensely. She couldn't go to see Urien. Although during this time, she also learned that Daniel had manipulated Pegasus, and that due to the pressure, he finally surrendered. Rosa remembered that day. If it weren't for Yuri, Anne would have held him in his arms. Then he would surely have lost his life. At that moment, a sound outside the window interrupted her thoughts. She saw a small mechanical bird fly to the windowsill. With a bouquet of ice blue roses in its beak, she watched it fly towards her. Rosa noticed that it had a piece of paper tied to its leg. When she unfolded it, it read, "Rosa, I heard you woke up, so I wanted to write you a letter. Actually, I wanted to go see you, but due to some things, I haven't been able to see you lately. And this bouquet of flowers is my gift to you. Thank you for being part of the Valencia family. Next time, I will send you a Rosa like you. Also, you just need to wind up this little bird. It will come back to find me." Although this letter had no signature, from the moment she read the first line, Rosa already knew whose handwriting it was. She was not only surprised at how handsome Ang Lee was, but also that he wrote so well. Just as Rosa was about to reply to him, her head hurt because the paper was too small. It seemed she couldn't write everything she wanted to say. But there was no other choice. Rosa finished writing the letter and turned the little bird towards the courtyard so that it would fly back by itself. And Rosa not only wrote him a reply, it still took 2 days to deliver Julian in a painting. Thus, the days passed one after another. Rosa also gradually recovered. That day, the return of an unexpected visitor broke this tranquility. It was the Duke's brother, Lorenzo. At that moment, he already knew that my elder brother, so distant, had adopted a daughter. I immediately went to the Duke's room. "Younger brother, I heard that after Julian was out of danger, his condition worsened. Don't worry, he's just like his sister. He's a very strong child." The Duke present here interrupts. Urian is just his sister's son, not his sister. And now his bloodlust is increasing with the passage of time. When beasts can no longer satisfy his desire, his target will become a human being. Well, go see him first. After all, you need to see him with your own eyes to make a diagnosis. However, Lorenzo rejected the Duke's proposal at that moment. Before that, he had something more important to do. It was to visit Rosa, who was disguised as a rabbit. Upon hearing her uncle tell her to go, Rosa frowned, very angry. "Brother, it seems Rosa is not happy." Hearing this, Rosa immediately replied to Connie, "I'm already 8 years old. An 8-year-old shouldn't wear these clothes." But her protests were in vain. Lorenzo had already been won over by her. He approached so that Rosa would call him uncle. But the girl wasn't going to accept. After all, even if she called him Duke, he was still an uncle. Lorenzo, disappointed, can only stay in the corner counting ants. The Duke at that moment reminds his brother to pay attention to the time, to hurry up and see Julian. "Are you going to see Julian? Can I go with you?" Before Rosa finished speaking, she was rejected by Lorenzo. "Now, Julian is very ill, only the doctor can see him." Rosa, upon hearing this, looked at the ground dejectedly. After asking Lorenzo to return, he could inform her about Julian's condition. After all, Julian hasn't written to her in a while. She couldn't help but feel a little worried. But when the night was calm, Lorenzo didn't come looking for him either. Rosa pouted again. She took a piece of charcoal and prepared to take revenge on the sleeping Lorenzo. The uncle was ready to dirty his face. Walking down the hallway silently, whispers could be heard from the Duke's room. This made Rosa a little curious. Just as she was preparing to enter the room, a sound coming from inside made her stop the hand that was about to open the door. You say Rosa is not a saint. If you don't look at the eyes, it's as if she's identical to the missing Christian, even if they said Duke Arisa turned into a little girl. I'm afraid she would still have humanity. But now you say Rosa is not a saint. Did he accept the Emperor's inspection? The man didn't want to hear the Emperor's name at that moment. He made Lorenzo not mention this matter again. You recognized him because you have a good eye. The two of them look very alike. And apart from you, only Duke Olisa could relate him to Rosa. Besides, he doesn't usually appear much in society, so no one would notice. This made Lorenzo very doubtful. After all, Rosa, even if she isn't a saint, just because of her appearance, is definitely Duke Olisa's daughter. And Rosalind, the room suddenly fell silent. Rosa stroked her cheek. She wondered if she really looked like that person. But why isn't this mentioned in the book? Do you want to take advantage of him? Even if the saint has someone else, he is also Rosalind's son. We can make Rosalind pretend to be the spinster. With this, we can buy time. Besides, Julian has received a strong shock. He really doesn't have much time left. Even if a miracle really happens and he recovers, in the end, you will have to choose between the two. But it seems you have already made a decision. To be the adopted daughter of the villainous Duke. and to hear that the boy who saved you is about to die. A torrent of regret washed over Rosa's heart. In the book of the future that he saw, Leon didn't die at such a young age. The girl blamed everything on herself, and just as he was preparing to return to his room, Lorenzo heard a noise. He thought someone was listening, but when he went out the door, he found no one. And just as he was preparing to return to the house, he accidentally discovered the wooden blanket that Rosa had in her hands. Faced with the Duke's question, Lorenzo scratched the back of his neck and quickly said he had misheard. Rosa, back in the room, hugged her body and repeated in her mind the words she had just heard. She didn't know how much time had passed. The girl finally realized that the charcoal she had in her hand had disappeared, and that the room door had also opened. Rosa was immediately surprised. She hurried into bed and pretended to be asleep. Hearing the door close, Rosa thought the person had already left, just as she sighed in relief. But she saw Lorenzo beside the bed. "You should take care of your things. Don't let your guard down. You must be meticulous and leave no trace. Only then can you become the hunter again." Listening to Lorenzo's strange words, Rosa clung to the blanket. She understood that he had discovered her spying. When the man was having breakfast the next morning, he discovered Rosa's behavior, which was very similar to his own. After all, if it were a normal day, she would have already finished the food on the table. So as not to arouse suspicion in her uncle, Rosa could only keep putting food in her mouth and kept looking at Lorenzo in front. It seems Rosa liked it very much. "Well, after all, I am so handsome." Faced with his narcissistic words, Rosa didn't know what to answer. When Lorenzo was about to go to Urian's villa, he discovered that Rosa was waiting for him. "What I heard last night. Have you told the Lord?" To get closer to Rosala, Lorenzo didn't tell the Duke, "Since we have a secret in common, would you like to be friends with your uncle?" Rosala didn't want to reject him directly, but if she could take him to see Julian, perhaps she would consider it. This put Lorenzo in an awkward situation. "Didn't you say he didn't have much time left? Let me see him, please." Laurent looked at Rosa, who had a determined expression. He finally gave in. "Okay, Rosa, you are also part of Jurian's family. Then let's go. But if at that moment you want to escape, tell me immediately." This left Rosa very confused. Then he arrived at Julian's house. Rosa sniffed an aroma of wax and blood mixed together. She entered Julian's room. Rosa looked at the young man, who lunged towards her and had his limbs bound with shackles. The red eyes showed no emotion. Urian can no longer speak human language at all. Moreover, the second brother had warned him insistently. However, he continues to ignore his health. He used freezing magic recklessly. He even caused everything around him to freeze. That's why his curse worsened. Rosa at that moment understands that the blue Rosa Julian sent her is something he created with magic. They are not family, since they are family. How can they treat him like this? In Rosa's perception, family should unconditionally be on his side, for those who cry for themselves. But Corazza doesn't understand why the Duke and the others treat the one who once saved him like this. But he doesn't know that this is what Leanne asked for, just so as not to harm the innocent. So perhaps he can make Leanne in the end retain a bit of stubbornness. But it's too cruel for Rosa. After all, Julian had promised before that next year he would send her blue roses. "Rosa, you have to understand there are no blue roses in the world." Rosa was silent. Julian said he would send her the blue Rosa that doesn't exist in this world. And his promise can have several interpretations. It may be that she finds a way to make the non-existent exist. "Quick, throw the doll at Lorenzo." Rosa picked up the little bird that had been destroyed by Julian on the ground. Why hadn't more letters been written to himself? Looking at Julian in front of her, Rosa remembered what he had said before, what he himself had mentioned. She couldn't help but reach out her hand. But in the next second, the young man suddenly grabbed her. The red eyes glowed intensely. While clenching his teeth, his hand was very tense. "Urian, tomorrow morning you will still receive this world, because I will find a way to cure you." And realizing this, Lorenzo quickly hugged Rosa, carried her in his arms. Rosa silently watched the young man inside until it closed the door, leaving the young man who no longer had humanity. And a few days ago, Jurian, upon waking up, immediately asked Rosa through the Duke. He learned that the girl had no serious problems. Only in this way can the heart let go, when the sun sets in the west. So as not to worry Rosa, Urian looked for paper and a pen to write her a letter. Looking at the blood-stained paper on the floor, Urian understood that it was the first time he had woken up. Meanwhile, back at the Duke's house, Lorenzo immediately applied a bandage. The Duke also hurried to act. After reprimanding his brother, Rosa, who had been silent for a while, finally spoke. "Uncle, I want to go back to the place where I lived before." Rosa wants to return to the place mentioned in the book where the saint was. After all, to save Julian, only the sacred power of the saint can be relied upon. But the Duke misinterprets that the girl is afraid of Julian. He says he doesn't want strict defense. He will definitely not escape to the main city like last time. "I am not afraid of Julian." The man silently looks at Rosa. Remembering what happened last night, Nalonzo said there was someone listening outside. He doesn't know what she's thinking. "Okay, I know what you think. Rest a little." With that said, he turned around and left. The Duke didn't want Rosa to go back. After all, when he brought Rosa to the Duke's house, he himself dealt with that poison that deserved to be destroyed and helped the children start a new life. But he didn't know how much Rosa hated that boss. He only thought that when Rosa realized she had nowhere to go, she would surely hate him. The sun was setting. At that moment, Rosa was gathering her things. He knew that if he left like this, the Duke would surely not agree. Even if she says she knows where the saint is in the books, the Duke won't take it seriously. After all, adults never listen to children. And besides, Rosa doesn't want to see a man begging her in person. Actually, Rosa doesn't want to leave here. But to save Urian, he can only go and release the little bird that has been repaired. The girl slowly made a rope out of her clothes and prepared to climb down from the balcony. Just as he threw the rope, the little bird flew back again, and a terrifying scream was heard from below. Rosa is very confused, seeing Lorenzo curiously looking at the rope in her hands, and discovers Rosa on the terrace. Lorenzo understands what she wants to do. "You're not thinking of climbing down with that, are you? I think if you pull on that, it will fall. Stay there and wait for me. I went to get you so that Lorenzo would come to get himself." Rosa is speechless. She knows what nonsense he's up to again. "My niece, playing such a dangerous game near the window. How could I not come?" After asking him not to say it, Rosa prepares to leave, but when Lorenzo said that if she disappeared, the Duke would worry, Rosa fell silent. She remembered her uncle's concern for her. The girl expressed contradictorily, surely he wouldn't worry about her. "So let's confirm, how did your brother react after you disappeared?" "I will help you escape from home." After 2.5 hours of preparation, Lorenzo also took Rosa to prepare to leave and told her it was the safest way, but the girl only wanted to punch him. At that moment, they encountered the Duke. "Where are you going? What is that you have wrapped up?" And what he has wrapped up is Rosa. Upon hearing Lorenzo say it was a gift for a friend, the Duke didn't think much of it, and thinking that Rosa wanted to return to the old slum, she surely did it on her own. It wasn't enough. Her adaptation was also seen by Lorenzo. He asked him how he treated Rosa. "I want to tell her little by little so she doesn't feel so hurt. After all, I can't hide the truth from her all her life." When she was sitting in the moving cart, Rosa finally poked her head out. "Rosa, did you hear? Do you still want to leave?" The girl gave him an affirmative answer. Everything is for a just cause. After all, the book says that on that day the saint should have found the Duke. He used his sacred power to save the man, and thus officially became the saint. Later, to do charity work, he returned to the previous alley, and that's when he found Rosa. And the orphan spinster, just like him, also lives in that small alley. When they didn't know each other, they were always very close. At that moment, Laurent suddenly lifted the blanket, interrupting Rosa's thoughts. But upon returning to the place where she used to live, Rosa is a shock.